capable of doing for myself, and it makes me dependent on others. This lady, Michelle Stewart, I don't think she's a mean-hearted person who's trying to be cruel. I think I'm just having computer issues like I always do, and I don't have anyone in person to help me troubleshoot it. So she blocked me on Facebook last week, which, of course, sent me into a severe panic attack. And of course, with my communication issues, the worse my panic attack is, the worse it gets. As far as communicating, the more somebody talks over me, the worse it gets. And I understand that people are taught to say those pretty things. There was a list of the lessons you're supposed to learn or something like that. And as I'm reading it, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Every single one of those things, if you say them to a victim, well, it could lead to them committing suicide. So I try to explain that to people, and they don't get or understand it. There's another way to get a hold of Michelle as well. And, I'm trying to do all this from inside of my car. And I'm glad that she's trying to look. There's some stuff that I sent her already, but it'd be easier to send her the links because it's all in Facebook. I've been posting it on Facebook for years. With her being on my Facebook for, I want to say, going back to January, she's had time and access to it. And, the issues that I'm having with being blocked that route, and then, I got a notification on my YouTube, like right as I was starting the video, it said there's something. So it might have been just real slow about sending me the message. I thought she'd sent it in Facebook, but I thought she'd send the link in Facebook. I didn't realize that it was, or I hope it's her that sent it over YouTube and that she messaged me that way. I have trauma reactions from long-term abuse and from long-term of people telling me those things, like you just need to let the past go. That is the meanest thing that you can say. That is so dismissive. And obviously that's not directed at Michelle. That's directed at everybody. That's the sexism that males have to deal with. And that's not to say that no women have to deal with it. There's a strong correlation between looks and how honest you believe somebody to be. If somebody is good looking, you may assign a lot of positive attributes to them that are unwarranted or unwanted. Or, of course, completely untrue. I'm trying not to have a panic attack so bad it results in me having to do something desperate. I'm fighting hard to get heard. I'm fighting hard to get my voice heard, and I tried to explain to so many people that please stop typing those things at me. They are hurtful, and you don't care how hurtful they are. You say, oh, well, I'll just stop communicating with you altogether if my pretty shitty words don't fucking fix your shit. And that is so hurtful, too, because that's not the way that I mean it, and they goddamn well know it. And it's hurtful when people do that. Now, with Michelle Stewart, she's one of those people who ended up getting screwed just because there's so many people involved. It's not my fault or choice that there's so many people involved. I have to go through and weed out which ones actually give a fuck and which ones are going to treat me like a retard. Most of them treat me like a retard. You can see that in the fact that they type the same retarded shit over and over again. Like, yeah, the only person who is not going to know that is somebody who has the IQ of a fucking rock. So why would you tell me something that pretty fucking obviously I already know? Like the number of people who claim to be my friends that years after Natalie's death, want to oh, I looked it up. You know they found her killer. Yes, I know they found her fucking killer. Stupid. You've been on my fucking Facebook friends list for years because I know you in fucking person. There's a reason I was fucking reaching out to you years ago. Yes, I know they fucking found her killer. If you'd scroll back through, you'd realize that I messaged you. I messaged you when they found her killer. Now with this Michelle lady, she's trying to do something that my friends should have done. She also doesn't understand because of a connection issue. People don't understand how horrible this is until they're confronted by a tiny bit of it, and then they flip their shit. Their advice of just letting it go goes right out the goddamn window. They don't want to be on the internet for shit that they did. Well, I think it's fucked up that I'm on the internet for shit that I didn't do. I think it's fucked up that you, my supposed friends, did everything that you could to try to hide your involvement, not caring about the innocent lives. Were your children really threatened by these assholes, or were you just playing head games? And I've wasted all these resources to jump around all these different places, and I have a limited amount of time before I end up with a situation like what happened in Hood River, where I had nobody to help me call it in. What I had was my goddamn dad wasting my fucking time and playing goddamn head games with me. Why? Because he wanted to blackmail me into taking evidence down. Fuck that. I'd rather go to prison for the rest of my life than allow these predators to do this to one more living soul. Keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind that I've been at this for 6 years. Keep in mind that I started off growing up in the system. Keep in mind that in over 30 attempts to have me locked up permanently, every attempt has failed. Why do they repeatedly press charges against me for crimes that were not committed? Because I'm trying to turn in people who committed those crimes, and, well, many of them happen to be law enforcement. You tell me just to let it go as if that's an option, or you tell me, not to overthink it. You know what? Following a thought through to its conclusion is not overthinking it. Realizing that this is the kind of slander that gets people fucking murdered is not overthinking it. And stating it as a fact, because it is a fact, is certainly not overthinking it. So, of course, you guys got your opinions. Your opinions are not based on facts. That's because you didn't look at any of them. Most of y'all who hopped on after Natalie was dead, it was an entertainment thing for a couple of weeks, and then you didn't care anymore, but you didn't bother to leave. Many of y'all offered to help me, said you wanted to be my friends, but there's situations like the Layla Johnson situation. And of course, Dan Faber and his fucking head games with that. No matter what, he did everything that he could to gaslight me and to help out my predators and to pretend like he was going to help me. Pretend. That's the key right there. Is that Michelle's fault that Dan Faber was a fucking fake? Nope. Is it okay for me to blame it on Michelle? Well, it is, actually. This is America. We're allowed to blame whoever we want. It doesn't matter if it's true. But I want to stick to blaming Michelle for what she did. She made a mistake. Okay. We've moved past that part. Now we got to try to get communication so she can see. I feel horrible. Like, having to expose people the way that I do, it does make me feel suicidal. It does make me want my life to end. It makes me sick to my stomach, and I puke often. I'll puke before a video until there's nothing left in my stomach. Not because I want to, but because I already know the chances that the person is going to throw me away for showing the truth. The chances that they're not going to understand, or they're going to be angry with me as if I'm evil for telling the truth. My truth may not be different, may not be the same as yours, but my evidence is the truth, the events. I don't think Michelle should have ever been involved in this. I'm almost glad that she did, and almost not, because I'm afraid of what happens if there's no follow through, or if I spend a lot of time wanting to believe her, and then, well, life is what happens while you're busy making plans, and I gotta try to worry about everybody else's safety and their names and all their privacy stuff that they want to keep organized in that way. And the fact is, if my loved ones end up dead, I can't guarantee you nothing. When Danica Garner and Rochelle Shelley Campbell wanted to tell me they weren't going to help me unless I kept their names a secret, I let them know that I couldn't do that. That if there was, I said I'd try, but if there was more people ending up dead, I couldn't. But I can't really start sending people a bunch of evidence until they're done with the argument phase. I try to send them enough to where if they look at it, they'll understand. And if they don't understand, it means they didn't look at it, which is pretty easy. Pretty easy to weed people out that way. Anyway, I vent not because I hate these people or anything of that nature. It's because I'm frustrated with them not understanding. With having to start over and say the same thing over and over and over again, with it doing absolutely no good because it's going in one ear and coming right out the other. A lot of these people mean well. They had good intentions to begin with anyway. But as things went along, they just, well, they forgot. I didn't matter anymore. I wasn't the popular thing. I wasn't the Watts feller who chopped up his own family. No, I'm just a fucking disabled hobo that there's a reason that Natalie's name is up the way that it is. More so than Chris Watts. And part of that reason is because I will not fucking shut up. Natalie was my fucking friend. And so far as I can tell, there was only one person in her life who actually loved her as a friend. But I had to think about my friends and my family, my loved ones other than her, because she was done with me. And you know what? With her being done with me, there was no reason for me to be in her life or for her to be in mine. Then again, Natalie was there to be my friend when I had no one else. And she was that friend until her family wouldn't let her be anymore. They wouldn't let me be there as her moral support. And they wouldn't let her be there as mine. When I went to Virginia, that's where the stuff that Natalie wanted to pretend I stalked her by doing. You can also see in our messages, those are things that she wanted me to do, that she asked me to do, her and her sister. And you can see that in between when I left Virginia and when Natalie was killed, I wasn't trying to find out where she was so that I'd go stalk her and hack her up and do horrible shit to her. I was going to my friends to try to get help stopping the abuse. I was going to therapists for help trying to stop the abuse. I was going to police for help stopping the abuse. But when you're a male and you're being bullied to the point that you want your life to end, they don't do anything about the bullies. They harm you for wanting your life to end. That only helps the bullies to get away, and then they get to throw it in your face and slander your name and pretend like you're a horrible person because not one person cared enough to tell the truth. And then they want to play victim when I record the truth and I post it for the world to see. I think it's horrible that my friends were such shitty human beings that I had to reach out to web sleuths and complete strangers to try to get help. The fact that not a single one of them cared enough to even take a look until Mandy Singer. And you know what she did after taking a look? She told me she's afraid that's the kind of shit that people get killed over. They took away my means. They took away my ability to show the truth, and I had to do desperate things. I did threaten people back. It'd be a grab bag as to guess. If somebody wanted to pretend like I was threatening their life, I really have to admit to crimes in order to pretend that. I want to see where it is that these things that my predators claimed, after gaslighting the shit out of me until I had fucking breakdowns, mental fucking breakdowns from abuse that none of you cared about. None of you web sleuths who hopped on and told me all these pretty things. None of you actually followed through, did you? You did enough to pretend like you tried, but you never spoke up. Why didn't you speak up if you're my friend? Does it couldn't make the time? That doesn't denote that I'm a bad person. That denotes that she doesn't fucking care. And she didn't bother to try actually doing a goddamn thing until I told her, hey, you need to stop. You need to leave my friends list. You're not a friend. You have allowed too many years of abuse to happen. And you know, it's unfortunate that Michelle was one of the people immediately after that, because I am not in a good frame of mind. I can't take care of myself. I don't get the most important things in life. Love is important. My friends and family love me enough to look at the other way and to make excuses and to tell me things that they know will push someone to commit suicide. Why would you do that to a friend? I don't think Michelle's a bad person, and I'm sorry for what she's gone through because of me. These people's words, if Caitlin Data would have spoken up at the beginning instead of ignoring me, it would have saved me 6 years of hell, 6 years of homelessness, 6 years of assaults, 6 years of threats against my friends and family, 6 years of having to go in alone. She's one of at least 100 people that could have done that, and not a single one of them ever did.